What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Just the Tip with me, your host, Uncle Weezy. We do this every Tuesday night on YouTube, 10 o'clock Central Time. We break down all the fights on the upcoming Saturday's UFC card. We go through all the stats. We go through all the tape study notes. We finish with Uncle Weezy's ass shaving of the week, and we give you all the track bets so far that I have on the UFC Orlando card. This is a fun card after a week off. We've got 15 fights to break down, so we have got an absolute ton of work to do tonight. Coming off a couple of nice weeks here. Last week was off. 2 weeks ago, up over 5 units on the UFC Vegas 65 card. The week before that, up over 7 units. So we want to keep stacking those cash tickets like flapjacks here after the break week for the last 3 weeks of the UFC 2022 year, which is culminating right now with this one, UFC Orlando, headlined by Kevin Holland against Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. So let's break down all these fights. Let's see what's up to everybody in the chat. If you see right there on the bottom of the screen, we got the address to the Patreon where you can get the stats that I show on this show every week, about a week before they come out on the show. Gives you a head start to breaking down cards 2 weeks in advance. Check out the Patreon. We got the $5 option. We've got the $20 option, which also includes the prop template, which is probably the best over-under betting tool available out there on the web right now for the price. So please check out the Patreon if you want a chance to support your Uncle Weezy and the content that I put out every week. Let's see what's up to you guys in the chat here, as we've got my guy Cuddles Knickerbocker is the first one in the room saying, I can't help but throw a small wager on 2 fan favorite underdogs this week. Barberena and Damage Elkins pays plus 2150 for that parlay. There are a couple of huge underdogs this week. There are a couple of huge favorites this week. So if you can find the apple pie shitter and throw them in some parlays, man, that big plus money number for whoever breaks the slate and ruins people's parlays is going to be one of those bets that you want to have a ticket for. So good luck to you on that one, Cuddles. Loving Dolidze as a dog as well. Man, this is an underdog card. At least 5 live dogs excited for this one. Me too, man. Daz Files is in the room saying, Oi, let's go, Smooth Jimmy. What's up, man? Good to see you in here. We got my guy Victor De Jesus in the room, and he is saying, oh, yes. What's up, Weezy in chat? Looking forward to this card. Let's stack them high this weekend. Let's do it, baby. Let's go. And we got Victor De Jesus saying, Daz Files, what's up, my brother? We got Jenna Marie in the room saying, what up, my cousin Doppelganger, Victor De Jesus? You family as far as I'm concerned. So looking forward to the fights this weekend. Let's go. Let's go. Let's get it here. We got Adam Rush in the room saying, oi, yes, let's go. We got the Cuban Assassin in the room saying, Dear Santa Weezy, I would like the Kim Winslow full Bush OnlyFans membership and a VHS copy of the Janine and Vince Neil sex tape. Thanks. God bless. Rock Ref Keith Peterson. Dude, if you guys don't know who Kim Winslow is, let me share my screen with you guys. If she has an OnlyFans, she is a handsome woman. Look at the images right here. That is Kim Winslow, ladies and gentlemen. Yikes. Can you imagine paying for... Wow. Look at her. Kim Winslow. Please, Cuban Assassin, tell me that she does not have an OnlyFans. Look at this picture. Cuban Assassin, always making my day. gotta get that off the screen. Let's put up a much prettier person on the screen right now. My guy Nosferatu here. We got my guy Mushroom in the room saying that Daz Files. What's up, Daz? We got Bob Spikerman saying Weezy the big dog. Hate those break weeks, but I discovered my new main man, Will Cairns. He fought on BKFC. Please, Weezy, you got to check his tapology. Jay Ellis looks like Habib compared to Cairns. Oh, God. Well, Jay Ellis has over 100 losses, but he does have some wins. He's got over 10 wins, I think. So maybe Cairns is one of those 0-50 guys. And Mushroom saying what's up to all of his people. Here we got Papa Chuck saying, what do UFC fighters need for chemistry class? Brunson burners. Too bad they are always broken. Yeah, Brunson's probably going to be retiring soon. He was saying just a couple of fights ago that he had maybe 2 fights left that he wanted before he retired. So he had to pull out of this one for I don't know why Brunson pulled out, but we got Roman Dolidze taking his place, and that's going to be a hell of a card. What's up, guys? Best dog of the card. I think Valdez, says Dope Space Cowboy. What's up, dude? It's always good to see you in here. We got Papa Chuck in the room saying, hey, everyone, Daz, Mushroom, Bob, Jenna, Dope Space, Victor, and the Cuban Assassin. What's going on, you guys? We got Bob saying that Papa Chuck, yo, what's up, Big Papa? And, of course, rest of this chat. Let's get it these last few weeks to end the year strong. Let's do it, man. Let's try to stack those units like flapjacks, everybody. Holland knockout. Sprinkling Holland each round 3, 4, and 5, says Mushrooms. We got Lord Timmy saying, anyone on Rojo? Just watch the tape on Marshall. Slow, shit striking defense. Rojo plus 150 looks like a good spot. I don't hate that spot at all, man. You know, it's coming off the Contender Series, fighting very low level of competition is Marshall. What I do like about Marshall is that he mixes in the wrestling. We got Victor De Jesus saying that Bob Spikerman's let's stack them high. Bob saying bookies just got shaved last weekend because of PFL. Let's shave those rich asses again this week. Let's get it, man. Excuse me, guys. Bob saying, I see some crazy out-of-line odds this weekend. I'm not sure that they will hit, but damn, Wonderboy decision is plus 400. Tuivasa inside the distance is plus 300. Phil Rowe inside the distance plus 290, just to mention some. Nikolai by knockout plus 300 as well. Dan Goldstein in the room saying, what's up, boys? It's Roman Vlismas fight week. So let me start by saying, City Boy, City Boy. His Georgian name is Gigachadze. Black belt in making South African husbands cry. Oh, man. Dan Goldstein, you are on fire. Absolutely. Oh, man. It's good to see you guys in here, always hanging out, man. In from the gym, so not long ago, one more sleep till summer starts. Yeah, we got winter starts here, man. Lou Betty in the room saying, oi, JSP versus Elkins, Weezy versus Lou, props to consider. Well, I'm going to be taping props to consider and maybe bet with my guy Lou Betty tomorrow on the MMA Engine YouTube channel. So make sure you check that one out. Hopefully we'll have all the rest of these props out by the time that show does come out, because they've been a little bit slow getting the rest of these out. But it's good to see Lou in here, man, and we're going to be doing that show tomorrow. We got Corey Mann saying, oi. We got Nate Robinson saying, oi. We got Keith Offenlock saying, oi. We got DFS by the numbers saying, oi. We got Dan Goldstein saying that oi just cut Darren Elkins' eye. Max bet him now. Jeff K saying the king of Avondale. What's up, Jeff? Good to see you in here, man. Immaculate Time 3 saying, let's go, gents. Let's hope you all eat. Let's go. We got Mushroom saying, oh, yes, and saying, what's up to Luke Betcha. We got Martin Dermoff saying, oi, thanks for all your hard work. We appreciate you. I appreciate you, Martin. Thanks for hanging out in here, man. We got Antonio Esparza saying, oi, Uncle Weezy. What's up, bro? Out of all the main card fights, who's the dog that can win outright on the main card fights? Well, I mean, I think Tai Tuivasa can win outright. I think Stephen Wonderboy Thompson can absolutely win outright. I don't like Barberena's chances to win outright. Let's get the stats up on the... I can't wait. So picture is killing me with the heart. Oh, who else on the main card? I mean, like Wonder Boy would probably be my favorite one to do it on because I don't like Schnell. I don't like Barberena. I think Tuivasa's live, but I'm picking Pavlovich. And Dolidze could be live. I mean, he's got a lot of power early in fights. So, but there are definitely a lot of live dogs on this card. Martin Dermov saying JSP, Nicolau, RDA, Ponzinibbio, Patty, Ankalaev, Monster Parlay. What do you think? I don't even know who Ponzinibbio is fighting, but I definitely like JSP and RDA and Nicolau and Patty and Ankalaev. Definitely think that they all have a big edge in their respective fights. I don't know who Santiago Ponzinibbio was fighting, though. King of XBC saying, I think this is a great dog card, too. Better get on these lines before they get bet down. Yep. But I don't think they're going to get bet down. I think that these heavy favorites are just going to keep getting thrown in more and more parlays. Wonderboy 3-4-5 decision plus 452. We got Just My 2 cents in the room saying, what's up, Weezy? Good to see you, Just My 2 cents. Mushroom saying, Uncle Weezy, Beck would be upset because you only have one turntable and a microphone. No, man, I got absolutely 2 turntables and a microphone, my man. You can just take a look right back there. You could see this turntable right here, and then this turntable back here, man. And we got the headphones, and we've got an entire wall of records back there, man. Yeah, Beck's got nothing on me when it comes to spinning records. Hate to tell you that. So, yeah, your Uncle Weezy can definitely make asses move, make asses shake. House music, Chicago. This is where it all began, my friends. We got Nathan Robinson saying plus 252 as a correction from earlier. And we got Martin Dermov saying also got Monster Juice on JDM, Jack Della Maddalena, RDA, Ponzinibbio, 3-week parlay with lots of money on the line. I don't mind it, dude. RDA should absolutely kill. Camden Gleason saying, oi, we got Melon JS saying, love you, Uncle. What's up, man? Good to see you. We got Dan Goldstein saying, I called it earlier in the week. Roman gets his win bonus, a performance bonus, and probably leaves with either Jauregui or Ducote, as well as Giant Blizzard. That would be something, man. Z Kohler saying, oi, boobs saying, I. Sorry, I have to do this. Dan Goldstein saying Darren Elkins starts bleeding and Weezy's screensaver swoops down from the rafters. Could you see Spivak coming in like a bat to get all that delicious, nutritious blood that drips from Elkins' forehead, man? Oh, God. Yazmin by a Wild Fury TKO. We got Diego M saying, hey, what's up, T.O. Weezy? Thanks for coming out, Diego. Thanks for coming out, Keith. XA Money 823 saying, Big Meech, Weezy, Yazmin, and RDA, Parlay Hammer Lock. Copied it early as low as minus 134. Let's get it. We got Goldstein saying, I need Rojo to win so I can see that T-Rex walk. Yeah, man, that Raptors celebration definitely is fun to watch, man. And we got to see it a lot in Combate because Rojo was just finishing fools in round 1 over and over and over again. Adam Spizman saying, I'm on Ribas and Ribas by decision. I think she outclasses Cortez from range and avoids the grappling. It's going to be a great fight. And there's a reason that fight is lined so close. There's really good reasons to like both fighters there, Adam. Boob saying, Weezy, is there a correlation between Dolidze being undefeated after smashing high body count hooker Cheyenne buys? I don't know, because, I mean, correlation does not mean causation. And we'd have to learn that, you know, when we're studying to get a math degree. And, you know, there could be something to it, man. Cheyenne Vlismas is of Greek descent. The Greeks give a lot of gifts to the world. You know, and maybe one of the gifts is Cheyenne Vlismas and her ability to be able to regenerate low IQ but high, you know, athletic ability fighters into something that, you know, where they put it all together and really start looking incredible and start kind of like punching above their weight class. And that's what Dolidze's been doing, man. He's on fire right now. So Jenna's saying, Mushroom, Daz Files, what's up? My guy Lou the man. We got Mushroom saying, what's up? We got XA Money saying, oh, we got Dope saying I'm on Rojo. We got Shroom, do we have a violence ladder for the Schnell fight? Chural says Kiwi. Jenna Marie saying, Mushroom, I'm much better. My guy recovered from COVID. Welcome back to the living world. Jenna, always good to get over that COVID. Leave it in the rearview mirror. The ass shaving of the week is Jenna Marie over COVID. Welcome back. We got Dan Goldstein. That Kim pick is scarier than that speed pack one. Weezy's queen exposed. Damn father saying, Weezy, what up, bro? What's up? Ponzinibbio's fighting Lawler. Yeah, I like Santiago there, man. So many dogs, my guys. Yes, for sure. T-Rex saying, what's up, player? And then ring a ding. My guy Victor De Jesus saying did pretty well on UFC Vegas 65, tailed on that He Stand Max bet and got the better odds thanks to you. People joined the Patreon already. Dude, every bet that I gave out on the Patreon has moved at least 50 points. Tuivasa under 1.5. I got it minus 125. It's moved to minus 225. The Dolidze Hermansson under 2.5 at plus 140 has moved to plus 120. The Natan Levy versus Valdez under 2.5 got it minus 115. That's now minus 190. Get on that Patreon, you guys. That prop template, even if you don't pay for it, you'll be benefiting from the wisdom that it provides me when I'm making these bets. They're all analytically very solid plus EV bets. So check out that Patreon. The link is on the bottom of the screen. And I mean, Victor, I appreciate you so much, man. The way that you support the channel, I mean, it means so much to me, brother. Trust me, YouTube doesn't pay much. So when you come out and you give donations like you've been giving me, brother, I'm telling you, man, it makes it all worthwhile. I appreciate you so much. I appreciate you shouting out the Patreon, and I appreciate you just being here every week with your positivity and your good reads, Vic. It's a pleasure to have you here, brother. Thank you so much for the donation. Bring a ding. Let's go, you guys. Mushroom saying, Jenna Marie, good to hear. Hallelujah is right. Oi, Weezy, says Jenna. We got Cole saying, oi, let's go, Unk. We got the Dab Father saying EDM is the best genre of music there is. I disagree. When it comes to the electronic music, I am a house guy. Always have been, always will be, but EDM is a little bit past my time. Jenna Marie saying, oh shit, my cousin Doppelganger Victor coming in with the $50 dono. My guy is balling. Yeah, he is, man. And I appreciate him. Dab Father saying, who doesn't love to say boots and cats and fist bump a little bit? Let's go, man. Jenna Marie, we see. So what's up? Let's see. The Dab Father, rock and roll has better drugs. It does. It definitely does, man. Cole Stein saying, Tuivasa just keeps growing as an underdog. When do you think I should book it? Yeah, I mean, it might keep going, Cole. Just got to keep your eye on that line. You know, you kind of get the feeling. And let me show you one thing here. On best fight odds, a little cheat code for you guys. Like you see the Hill Ducote line here. When you got the red arrow, it means money is coming in on that line. And when you have the green arrow, it means that the money's not coming in on that side. So right now, the money is coming in on the plus 100 side. So that's always a good little cheat code. When you see a line that's kind of like sticking out there, look at what color the arrow is. If the arrow's red, you might want to actually jump on that line a little bit quicker because it might be gone. But when it's green, it's signifying that the money's coming in currently on that book on the other side, and that you might be able to wait and get an even better price. So always look at that, Cole. That's a good little cheat code to figure out which way the line is currently potentially going to move. But money coming in on the other side all at once can change that quickly as well. But it's just another tool to kind of help you decide when you want to get your money in. Dan Goldstein, I like Rojo too. And then we got, of course, the sponsor of the show, girls69.xyz. You want to get laid, you got to visit my guys. These, I mean, you'll be wrist deep in some co-ed in like 3 minutes. They're going to get you laid, guys. And then, of course, the secondary sponsor, x-girls.xyz. Let me tell you something. I mean, if you're lonely if you need to get laid, I don't know what you're waiting for. Get over there. I mean, I'm telling you right now, you're gonna thank your Uncle Weezy later when you're like just neck deep in all that trim. Dan Goldstein saying, Jenna, that line's getting out of control. I hope for plus 200. It might get there. My guy Victor the Man, hell yeah, Jenna. Dan Goldstein saying, Dan Dabfather bought the sex bots. And Mushroom saying, Dan Goldstein, after watching more tape, I'm leaning Rojo now as well. Jenna Marie saying, amen, Weezy, hell yeah. Dabfather saying, ha, yeah, I agree. Rockstar life is different. Yes. Dan Goldstein saying, yeah, Shroom, I like the fact Rojo will fight for my money before he dies. He gave Charles fits at times. Fire Marshal hasn't brought nobody. Yeah, that's true. He hasn't fought nobody. Brian is in here taking notes. Victor's the fucking man, says Jenna. Let's see here. And what do we got? We got ass shaving predictions, says Diakiese from the Prince of Mischief. And let me tell you something, the Prince of Mischief has been on a roll with the ass shaving predictions. Mushroom saying that Dan Goldstein agreed. I got to figure out a way to back out of my official pick, Marshall sub. I put on Twitter. Great. Thank you, Weezy, says Cole. You're welcome, brother. Antonio Esparza saying, thoughts on Doc is at plus 150 to win via points. I can't see him winning any other way. I could absolutely see Chris or Kyle Daukaus get a submission. 86% of his professional wins are by submission. He's never knocked anyone out. His Darce chokes are phenomenal. So I could see Daukaus winning by submission or decision in this fight. Goldstein saying, I like the Marshall sub as a value hedge too. Have there as a safety net at Shroom. And as far as saying, also, Sergey to win by KO is at minus 130. Doesn't that seem kind of low? It should be minus 180 in my opinion. Actually, dude, Sergey's got 2 or 3 wins by decision. So, you know, I mean, if his fights go out of the first round, none of his fights as a professional have ever ended in the second round or in the third round or in the fourth round or in the fifth round. If his fights get out of the first, they all go to decision. So maybe 130. I mean, dude, let me tell you something. Here's another thing, Antonio. I don't bet KO props and sub props that have a higher than 50% implied probability. If fighter A by KO, and I think he's going to KO his opponent, is minus 150, I'm not betting that fight. Because it means his money line is like minus 500, and everything's just juiced to the tits. And I don't bet that shit anymore. I can't do it. Even if a fight looks obvious, I'm not laying that much juice and then watch this guy, watch the opponent tap to strikes, and then I lose my bet because he fucking won by submission technically. So, yeah, I'm not playing around with that. I mean, but it does, yeah, because that's how Pavlovich wins. I see what you're saying, Antonio, but he's won a couple of decisions too. And we got, I appreciate that you guys like the humor. Colstein saying forearm deep, thanks to the sponsor. Hey man, I only bring in the best sponsors. You know what I mean? Like and I know personally, okay, because they get me laid on the regular 69-girls.xyz. You know, I'm not sending you any place where I know that, for instance, like, what if there were a bunch of teases there and I sent you there and then you're like, you come back next week and you're like, I went to 69-girls.xyz and they're all a bunch of dick teases, you know, that would be on me. So it's up to me to know that you're going to get laid there. You're going to get wrist deep there. You're going to have some fun. And I've already checked it out. I've already done the research. You can bet, you guys, Cole. I mean, your Uncle Weezy is not going to steer you wrong there. And it ended up to 20.6 units last event. Oh, my God. Vic just absolutely destroyed the bookies. You got to love that, dude. I was up 5 units, and I was very happy about that. 20.6 is otherworldly. Dueling fuck sites, you know you made, Uncle. You got that right, man. Victor, you're a gentleman and as a scholar, as my daddy would say. Dan saying, I think Tai Tui in the second round is a mythological creature. That Samoan second round hits different. I will be live betting Tai if he survives the first. That's not a bad idea at all. Dueling fuck sites in your chats. Weezy's new sponsor got the chat lobby smelling of shame and smoked sardines. You just know. You guys are the best. I appreciate each and every one of you. But oh my God, we're already 25 minutes in because you guys are making me laugh, and I'm bringing up pictures of Kim Winslow. I just love that picture. I hurt Kim Winslow. Okay, I'm going to get to work. I have to get to work. All right. We got to start with the very first fight of the night, which is Yazmin Jauregui against Istela Nunes. If you guys want the stats that you see on the screen, you just join the Patreon, $5 a month. You'll get them 10 days before every card. And we've got not only the matchup stats here where we put them side to side, but we also have the career stats for both fighters here. You know, this doesn't show much because they haven't fought much, but you know, we get the striking, the grappling, the DraftKings, the FanDuel, for and against, and we got everything here. So you can take a look at the individual stats from each fight as well as the averages, you know, and the metrics here. So, but yeah, Jauregui Nunes is going to be the very first one of the night. And let me get my notes up here. So, in the measurables, Nunes is going to have the size advantage, and Jauregui is going to have the age advantage here. Istela is bigger, 1-inch height advantage, a 3-inch reach advantage. However, Jauregui is 7 years younger, only 23 years of age right now. So obviously, she's definitely in a place where we might see her making massive improvements between fights, and she's already looked good in her early 20s. So, yeah, a lot to like about Yazmin Jauregui here. Nunes is 30 years old, right in her prime. The experience advantage is going to go to Nunes, though. She's got one more fight. She's got 47 more minutes in the pro cage and 8 more minutes as a pro fighter. Nunes also has a slight UFC experience advantage with one more fight and 13 more minutes in the UFC cage. Yazmin has been the far busier fighter, though, averaging 2.25 fights per year, while for Istela, it's been less than 1 fight a year. Jauregui's got the better finish rate as a pro, 67% in comparison to 33% for Nunes, and all finish wins for both fighters come by way of knockout. Yazmin has never lost, while Nunes has been finished in 2 of 3 losses, both by submission, though, and Jauregui has never submitted anybody. Nunes is definitely slowed down later in fights, especially when there's grappling involved. So I'd say Jauregui has got the better conditioning and is more durable and is the better finisher. When it comes to the striking, I'm calling it even. Both of these ladies are strikers first, and they're most comfortable when the fight is at distance striking range. Both ladies have solid UFC striking metrics with positive significant strike differentials, positive significant strike attempt differentials, and over 60% striking defense. Istela is more of like a Muay Thai striker, while Yazmin is more of a traditional boxing style. So if Istela stays light on her lead leg, throws calf kicks against Yazmin, who's heavy on her lead leg, I think she can win minutes on the feet here, especially with that 3-inch reach advantage that she has. And she's got more of a kick-heavy style to keep the distance. I think if she's throwing that teep up the middle, I think if she's throwing those low leg kicks, we're going to see the distance striking exchanges be very close. Both ladies have power in their hands for sure. I see this fight being very close while it's at distance striking range, especially in the first 2 rounds when Nunes is fresh. But the grappling advantage I'm going to give to Jauregui here, because Istela has been just terrible with her takedown defense, grappling, and get-up game at the UFC level. Yazmin has mixed in some takedowns on the regional scene, so I would have to say she has the grappling advantage here. And if she wants to look minus 325, she better use that grappling advantage by pressuring Nunes, walking forward, making Nunes move laterally and try to stay at kicking range. Getting into the clinch, wearing on her, taking her down, winning minutes with ground and pound. Yazmin will be smart to take advantage of the massive hole in that grappling game that Istela has by exploiting the 42% takedown defense she's shown and the 37.57% control time she's allowed to her opponents on 3.76 takedowns allowed per 15 minutes. Nunes has the slightly better strength of schedule, giving her the edge because she's faced the better win-loss records overall at the time she fought her opponents. in comparison to Yazmin. So Nunes, the opponents that she's had throughout her entire career, at the time she fought them, had a 65 win and 23 loss record, while for Jauregui, it's 48 wins and 23 losses. Plus, Nunes has one more UFC level fight, and she's got a regional scene loss to one championship's former flyweight champion, Angela Lee. Yazmin has also faced solid regional scene competition, but it was just a notch lower than the level Nunes faced. So Yazmin's 7 years younger. She's the better finisher, and she's been more durable, and she's shown superior conditioning, and she definitely has the wrestling and grappling advantages in this spot. While Nunes is an inch taller, she's got a 3-inch reach advantage. She's got a slight overall and UFC experience advantages, and she has the slight strength of schedule edge. I like Jauregui to win this fight simply due to the fact that she can easily win minutes if she wrestles a little each round. And because this fight should be close enough on the feet to ensure Yazmin fights smart, she should get her hand raised in this spot. If Yazmin doesn't wrestle, this fight gets much closer, though, and you'll probably regret parlaying her or holding a straight money line ticket on her. I'm going to pick Jauregui to win by decision, but a round 3 prop for Jauregui wouldn't be a bad decision either. But I got to tell you, this line on Istela Nunes is just a little too much. I forgot to bring my banners up here, but Jauregui's minus 300 on Bet Online, and Nunes is plus 250, and the fight doesn't go is sitting at plus 150. You know, I saw Nunes earlier in the week on Caesars at plus 280, and I almost pulled the trigger. I think she probably loses this fight, but at minus 300, I think you're making an assumption here that Jauregui's gonna wrestle. Because if she doesn't wrestle, this fight should be very, very close, in my opinion. Istela Nunes is absolutely no joke on the feet, and she's not really losing minutes on the feet at the UFC level or on the regional scene. So Jauregui's at her best on the feet as well. So if she doesn't wrestle, she's going to give Istela Nunes the fight that she wants. And I promise you, if she gives Nunes the fight that she wants, Nunes is going to look a lot better than plus 250 here. So I am still considering a money line bet on Istela Nunes if I can get it back up around plus 260, 275. I don't think I'll see plus 280 again, but I'm going to be keeping my eye on that line. And if more money comes in on Yazmin, I might take the underdog shot here on Istela and hope that she can keep the fight standing, at least 2 out of the 3 rounds. And if she does that, I think it's going to be a very close decision at the end. The next fight, though, that we're going to talk about is Marcelo Rojo. Oh, and I forgot, you guys. I got to bring up the fight card here, and we'll do these picks while we're going through, like I've been doing here on Tapology for you guys. So the pick is going to be Yazmin Jauregui to win the fight by decision, but I do believe that Istela Nunes is live if this winds up being a striking battle. So, yeah, that's the first pick. Second fight, Marcelo Rojo at plus 138 is the underdog, going up against Francis Marshall, who will be making his UFC debut after a win on the Contender Series. He's minus 158, and the fight doesn't go to decision, juiced up at minus 188 here. So let's see. We've got my notes over here. And if we look at the measurables here, we've got to give it to Marshall. France is going to be slightly bigger. He's got a 1-inch reach advantage. He's got a 1-inch height advantage. But where he really has a nice edge is being 11 years younger than Marcelo Rojo. And this is at featherweight, So 34 years old at featherweight is getting towards the end of that, area where you're going to be at an athletic deficit to everybody in the division, especially some 23-year-old kid who's brand new and is super motivated. But the experience advantage obviously goes to Marcelo Rojo here. He's got 18 more professional fights. He's got almost 90 more minutes in the pro cage and almost 9 more years as a pro fighter. He also has a slight UFC experience advantage with 1 more UFC fight and over 10 more minutes in the UFC cage. When it comes to finish stats and the durability, Marcelo has the better finish rate as a pro, 88% in comparison to 67% for Marshall. And he's been a diverse finisher. He's got 6 submissions. He's got 8 knockouts, while all of Marshall's finishes came by knockout. Marshall's never lost, so we don't really know how durable he is. However, Rojo has been finished in 6 of his 8 pro losses, 5 times by submission and once by KO. So it's safe to assume that Marshall probably has the durability advantage here, but we don't really know. The striking advantage I'm going to give to Marshall here. But it's basically on paper, and it's an analytics-based thing. But that analytics is based on a 2-fight sample size for Rojo and a 1-fight sample size for Marshall, so it just doesn't mean much. But in that small sample size of stats, we have both fighters. We see Marshall as a superior significant strike differential, positive 2.4 to negative 2.17 for Rojo. The volume differential is also 3.4 significant strikes for Marshall, while Rojo is negative 1.02. Striking accuracy, 47% to 36%. And the striking defense is better for Marshall, too, 59% to 51.5%. But Rojo has absorbed 2 knockdowns, and Marshall's never been dropped at the UFC level. But I think that this is very close on the feet, and maybe even Rojo is going to win the minutes on the feet here. He throws a lot of kicks, does Rojo. He varies his weapons, and if his opponent gets too close, he loves that Muay Thai plum, and he loves to throw very dangerous, bad-intentioned knees up the middle at his opponents when he gets that Thai plum. Marshall's got fast hands. He prefers more of a traditional boxing style. I think it'll be close on the feet while it's there, but in the grappling, I'm giving it to Marshall. The kid can wrestle. He does an excellent job of mixing in the wrestling to win minutes, and Rojo has yielded almost 21% control time against on only 3 completed takedowns in 2 fights. I think Marshall's wrestling will be the key to winning this fight because it'll be close on the feet. But if Marshall can get takedowns in each round, he has the chance to consistently win minutes in this spot. The strength of schedule advantage, that goes to Rojo. He's obviously faced the much better brand of competition, while at the UFC level going up against guys like Charles Jourdain at 145, Kyler Phillips at 135, while Marshall has pretty much fought nobodies. Rowe was in the Tough Latin America house years ago and also faced quality names on the regional scene as well. So this is going to be a huge step up in competition for Marshall. In addition to that, Rojo moving up to 145 pounds. He's at Glory MMA now. He made that move from the happiest place on earth, which is Entrim Gym in Tijuana, Mexico, all the way to Glory MMA. They're over by Kansas City, I believe. But now Rojo moving up that weight class. He's been finished a ton in the 3rd round. Now that he's not cutting so much weight, potentially we'll see a Marcelo Rojo that has a little bit more, that doesn't slow down as much late in fights. But this is a huge step up for Marshall here. So Rojo's got that experience advantage. He's got the finish stats and the strength of schedule advantages here. While Marshall's 11 years younger, he's got a 1-inch reach and height advantage. He's more durable that we know of. And he's got the striking metrics and wrestling advantages here. But it's a step up for him, and the line is a little wide for me. But his ability to be able to mix in that wrestling and potentially win minutes here is going to be huge. If he's smart, if he fights smart and uses his entire MMA toolbox, I think he can get the win by decision here. But, this is a very experienced fighter here in Marcelo Rojo, 24 professional fights, over 150 minutes in the pro cage, fought a lot of guys that are UFC level, but outside the UFC. While Francis Marshall was in Gulf Coast MMA before coming to the UFC. And the guy that he got on the Contender Series was 5-0, but he had never been out of the first round. And I think his entire pro career was less than 5 minutes. So I think in this spot, I'm going to have to pick Francis Marshall by decision here. I don't hate the Marcelo Rojo side at all here. But what I have seen from Rojo is that when he gets taken down, man, he does not do a good job of getting back up. He's a little bit too happy to play off of his back. We've seen him get submitted on the regional scene by John Castaneda. I believe that Marshall, by mixing in that wrestling, is going to be the better minute winner in this spot. And I think that he'll probably get the nod here. But I have no bets on this fight. One of the spots that I do like is minus 175 for the over 1.5 in this spot. Might be something I throw in the greasy four-legger this week. But the next fight that we're going to talk about, everybody, is, Glenbot saying Rojo up a weight class. That is correct. He's moving up to 145 here. This fight is scheduled at 145, but we have seen Rojo fight at 145 against Charles Jourdain when he made his UFC debut, but I think he took that fight on short notice. All right, so the next fight, Natan Levy minus 185 going up against Genaro Valdez at plus 160. The fight doesn't go to decision at minus 230, so it is absolutely juiced to the tits right now. So we'll bring up these stats here on this one, and I'll go over to my notes. So in the measurables, I'm going to give a slight edge to Genaro Valdez here. It's almost even, but Valdez is just a bit younger. He's got a 1-inch reach advantage, and Levy's a southpaw. So these dudes are the same height. The measurables should not be much of an issue here. The experience is even. Valdez has more fights. He's got 3 more fights, and he's got more time as a pro, about 2 years in comparison to Levy. However, Levy has 44 more minutes in the pro cage and over 30 more minutes in the UFC cage. Valdez has got the finish stats advantage. Levy's got the durability advantage. Valdez is a 100% finish rate, 7 knockouts, 3 submissions, and it's 100% for and against, as his only loss is by knockout. But Levy has won by sub 3 times in 7 wins, but he's never knocked anybody out. Valdez has been finished in his only pro loss, while Levy has never been finished. The striking advantage I'm going to give to Levy. Levy's got the better UFC metrics in a small sample size. He's got the better differential at positive 0.22 compared to negative 7.79 for Valdez in a very small sample size. He's got the better accuracy at 52.6% compared to 35.4% for Levy, for Valdez. He's got the better defense, 54% to 46%, and the better knockdowns allowed per 15. Valdez is averaging 6.68 knockdowns allowed per 15 minutes because Frivola, I think, might have dropped him 4 times in that fight. It was just an absolute war. They stood in a phone booth and they just swung hammers at each other until the ref stepped in. It was a great fight, but it's a symptom of how Valdez fights. I mean, he comes out and just goes off, and he empties the tank, and if he doesn't finish you early, there's a very high probability that you're going to probably get him out of there a little bit later on because he doesn't know how to pace himself, and he fights nervous. He just goes all out. He goes all out for the finish because I don't think he's got faith in his ability to be able to put together a game plan and win minutes and take it slow. So it's not necessarily a bad thing, because a lot of times you can take a more technical fighter just out of their game plan, out of their comfort zone by fighting like you're on bath salts, which is what Valdez does. But, Levy's a very good grappler, and I think he's going to find ways to get into those grappling situations here. And, we see Valdez wrestling a lot on his end too. So it's going to be interesting because Valdez has got good boxing, but Levy's a black belt in Kung Fu. So it's a traditional martial arts background against more of a boxer brawler. I see Levy doing a good job managing distance with his kicks if Valdez doesn't pressure effectively, but Valdez is probably going to pressure. And I think it would be very important that he does that because Levy, with that Kung Fu background, he can hit you from areas where you're not going to be able to hit him. You're going to have to really kind of take risks coming into that pocket. And with that traditional martial arts background, he can catch you coming in. The grappling advantage, I'm going to give to Levy. Both of these guys have shown impressive grappling metrics thus far in the UFC, but Levy's done it against slightly better competition. I think Levy's wrestling and submission grappling are a notch better than Valdez, and I see Levy being the one winning minutes in the grappling exchanges here. The strength of schedule is even. Both these guys have faced one good UFC opponent and the rest not good. The regional scene competition leans Valdez, but it's close. So Levy's got more pro and UFC cage time. He's been more durable. He has the striking and grappling advantages here, while Valdez has more pro fights, a 1-inch reach advantage, and he's got a 100% finish rate. I love the under 2.5 for this fight. I think Levy gets the job done by submission in the second round, but violence is the word here. Whether it's Valdez early or if Levy, kind of survives that storm and gets him out of there late, I think it's either going to be Levy by submission or Valdez by knockout. And that's basically how these guys finish fights. But definitely violence. I think it's going to be a very fun fight. But the pick is going to be Natan Levy by second round submission. What a fun fight, though. And I'm just looking for it to end early because I've got 1.15 units on the under 2.5 at minus 115. Excuse me. Let me get some water here, you guys, before we move on to the next fight. All right. Next fight. Tracy Cortez, minus 109, going up against Amanda Ribas, minus 111. Fight doesn't go to decision, sitting at plus 240. Let me see what's going on here. Did somebody mention a trifecta bet? Dan Mushroom and chatting with Weezy. It's a trifecta. You guys, there we go, man. Greases 2 rounds and then gets 10-8 in the third. Yeah, it's going to be a fun fight for sure, man. All right, so yeah, Tracy Cortez versus Amanda Ribas. Let's get these stats up on the screen. So we've got a wrestler versus a judo BJJ grappler here. It's going to be a very interesting fight. So in the measurables, I've got it as even though Tracy Cortez has fought at 135 and 125, and Ribas is moving up from 115 to 125. This will be her second fight at 125. It's Tracy who's 2 inches taller, but actually Amanda has the 1 inch reach advantage here, and Tracy just a little bit younger. It looks like 12, 10, yeah, so 4 months younger is Tracy Cortez. So both these ladies are very young. Both these ladies are still going to be getting better. They're both on the right side of 30 here. The experience advantage goes to Ribas. She's got 3 more pro fights. She's got 2 more UFC fights, and she's been a pro for 3.5 more years than Tracy. However, Tracy has almost 40 more minutes in the pro cage, and she's been the busier fighter as a pro. Finish stats also goes to Ribas. She's got the better finish rate as a pro, 63% for Amanda, only 20% for Cortez. And at the UFC level, Amanda's got a 40% finish rate, while for Tracy, it's 0%. Tracy's been subbed in her only loss, and Ribas has been knocked out twice in 3 pro losses. When it comes to the striking, I'm going to call it even. Both these ladies are adequate strikers. They both primarily use it to set up their grappling. I see this being very close while it's a distant striking range, but I like the kicks of Tracy Cortez. Got a sneaky little front leg switch kick that she throws to the head and to the body that lands a lot. And I've seen her have a lot of success with that. I think that she's going to be the cleaner striker, the more technically sound striker, while Ribas is really herky-jerky with her movement, but that odd pace, the odd way that she delivers her strikes, it could be difficult to deal with because it's hard to get her timing. I think it would be hard to replicate what Amanda Ribas does striking-wise in the gym when you're getting ready for her. But while this is on the feet, yeah, Ribas is going to have a little bit of a reach advantage. Tracy's going to have a little bit of a height advantage, but I see it being pretty close on the feet. Ribas throws a little bit more volume. Tracy probably a little bit more accurate. Neither one of these ladies showing a lot of power. And Ribas has been dropped twice, and Tracy Cortez has been dropped once in their UFC careers. And when it gets to the grappling, this is where it's going to be at its most interesting. I'm calling it even because they have different strengths. Cortez, wrestling and top control. Those are her strengths, and she's a fantastic minute winner with her wrestling and top control. Tracy Cortez is the kind of girl who doesn't need a lot of takedowns in order to dominate. She gets her takedowns at a 50% clip almost. 5 fights, only 14 takedowns, but she's getting almost 50% control time. So she's winning 44% a control time, but it's actually more than that because the Maria Agapova fight we don't actually have control time numbers for that fight. So while it's included, the 900 seconds are included, because we don't have control time, let's just remove that, right? And we'll say 3,600 seconds. And that's going to be 1985 seconds of control time divided by that 3,600. So that's 55% control time for Tracy Cortez. And if you go back and you watch that Agapova fight, it's probably even higher on the aggregate because I think she controlled Agapova for maybe 500, 600, 700 seconds in that fight as well. So Tracy Cortez gets well over 50% control time on aggregate. And when she like, you don't see her getting more than 4 takedowns in any fight, yet she's always the least amount of control time she's ever had in a fight was more than a third of it, 386 seconds. So it's very important to know what Tracy's strength is, and that is winning minutes, winning scrambles, getting takedowns, getting reverses. She reversed Melissa Gatto once in that fight. That was a key play there for her, because Gatto, I think, might have swept her twice. But when she gets on the bottom, she does not like to stay there. So it was only once, but she got reversed twice in her debut against Agapova as well. So Amanda Ribas is a judo black belt and a Brazilian jiu-jitsu black belt. So she's going to be attempting a lot more submissions. But what we don't see out of her is the massive control time numbers. So even though she's getting takedowns in every fight, she's never had a fight where she didn't get a takedown. She's got, 289 seconds here, 219 seconds here, and 445 seconds here. But a lot of other times, only 100 seconds against Darren, only 68 seconds against Van Zant, only 43 seconds against Jauregui. So the wrestling advantage definitely does go to Cortez here. What else is very interesting is a couple of different opponents here in the career. I believe that Melissa Gatto is very similar opponent to Ribas. I think Gatto's striking is a little cleaner. I think it's a little bit more technical, but Melissa Gatto's got great throws from the clinch, and she's got really dangerous submission grappling from the top and from the bottom. So I think Ribas has all of that as well. Another opponent for Tracy Cortez that she fought at 135 pounds. This one is aging very well against Stephanie Egger. Egger's a 135-pounder, also a judo black belt, very strong hips, very good head and arm throws. She didn't have any success trying that against Tracy. So I've seen Tracy deal really well with the judo and clinch game of a high-level judoka before in Stephanie Egger. And I've also seen her deal really well with the high-level submission grappling of a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. Well, maybe not a black belt in Gatto, but definitely a woman who's very dangerous with her submissions and very aggressive. So I've got to lean Tracy Cortez here. The strength of schedule advantage does go to Ribas according to my metrics, which I will go back to here. As we can see, Ribas got a 1.58 ratio, and it's 1.22 for Cortez, and way more total fights in comparison to Cortez for her opponents. But when we compare the wins, the ratio is almost identical. It's just Ribas is beating the more experienced opponents. So I like that strength of schedule advantage that Ribas has here. But we have to keep in mind, Ribas is fighting at 115 for all the fights but one, while Cortez is bouncing back between 125 and 135 and winning all those fights. So, look, Tracy's 2 inches taller. She's got almost 40 more minutes in the pro cage. She's got the better freestyle wrestling and top control game, while Amanda has a 1-inch reach advantage, has 3 more pro fights and 2 more UFC level fights, and she has the better clinch game and judo takedowns. She's also got the better UFC strength of schedule metrics. I see this fight being very close, as they are very well matched, but I'm picking Tracy to win this one by decision, and I do see this fight going the distance here. So the pick is going to be Tracy Cortez by decision. I am looking to make a Tracy Cortez by decision bet. I saw where Bet Online opened it, and I booed them until my voice was hoarse. Look at this shit, you guys. These guys should be embarrassed of themselves. Tracy Cortez minus 109 on the money line, and Cortez by decision is plus 120. Boo. That sucks. Bet Online, you should be ashamed of yourself. So I'm waiting to see where FanDuel opens it, where DraftKings opens it, and hopefully they'll have a little bit of sense and hang a little bit fatter of a number on it. But nothing yet that I can pull the trigger on, but definitely that pick is going to be Tracy Cortez by decision. And then the next pick, Lou Betya's favorite fight on the card, definitely one of my favorite fights on the card. We got my guy, Jonathan Pearce, JSP, squaring off against the damage, Darren Elkins, an absolute ultra veteran with 37 professional fights and 26 UFC fights. I mean, just absolutely crazy, man. So this is going to be a good one, but let me get that banner up on the screen for you guys. Darren Elkins is a huge underdog, plus Tree Pearce minus 450, and the fight doesn't go to decision, sitting at minus 160 here. So the measurables advantage obviously goes to Pearce. He's 8 years younger than Darren. He's 2 inches taller, and he's a switch stance fighter to Elkins orthodox. Experience that goes to Elkins. He's got an experience advantage over pretty much anybody at the UFC level besides like Jim Miller. He's 20 more fights, 220 more minutes in the pro cage, and almost 6 more years as a pro. He also has 20 more UFC level fights and over 250 more minutes in the UFC cage. Yeah, not as much as Jim Miller or Clay Guida, who we'll talk about later, or a few other fighters. But I mean, Elkins has been around for a minute, and he's got over 5 hours of his life as he spent in the UFC cage fighting trained killers. The finish stats and the durability, that goes to Pearce, as he's got the better finish rate as a pro, 84% compared to 52% for Elkins, and at the UFC level, 80% to 36%. Pearce has been finished in 3 of 4 pro losses, and in his only UFC loss, while Elkins has been stopped in 4 of 9 UFC losses and 5 of 10 pro losses. Both guys really depend on their durability, but their lack of defense makes them able to be finished despite their durability. Striking, I'm going to call even. Both these guys spend less than half of their UFC cage time at distance striking range. Both guys prefer to use their wrestling to win minutes and break their opponents. I don't really see either decisively winning minutes in the striking because both are so bad defensively on the feet. The grappling advantage I got to give to Pearce here. He's been hell unleashed in the grappling exchanges, and he's out-wrestled everyone he's fought thus far. He has the better takedown defense, 61% compared to better takedown percentage. 61% on Pearce's takedowns compared to 34% for Elkins. He's getting 2.76 takedowns per 15 minutes as Elkins, while Pearce is getting 6.75. The control time for 45% for Pearce, 37% for Elkins, and control time allowed 7.3% for Pearce, 15% for Elkins. Whoever wins the grappling exchanges in this fight most likely gets their hand raised, and I'm going with the youth, conditioning, pace, pressure, and scrambling of JSP. The strength of schedule is even. Both of these guys have fought guys with winning records who are experienced. Elkins has done it over a longer timeline, though. Elkins has the big experience advantage. He's fought the more experienced competition on the aggregate, while Pearce is 8 years younger, 2 inches taller, and he's a switch stance fighter. He is the better finisher, and he has the grappling advantage. I see Pearce putting it on Elkins from pillar to post, and I see him getting a third-round ground-and-pound finish here. The one thing that I think people can see Elkins winning this fight because of the way he's fought. You know, he's been so durable. He's been there in third rounds. He's outlasted guys. But in order to outlast somebody, they have to get tired. And, I mean, this guy Pearce just doesn't get tired. And the output that he's putting on people is just crazy. He's throwing 10 significant strike attempts per minute. He's landing 5.78 of them, and he's landing them at almost a 60% clip. He's getting 6.75 takedowns per 15 minutes. He's averaging 1.08 submission attempts per 15 minutes. He's attempting 7 takedowns per fight, and he's getting them at a 61% clip. The kind of pace that this guy puts on people is just a nightmare to deal with. And then you combine it with the durability. You know, I mean, even if Elkins does survive all 3 rounds here, it's going to be him that's going to be wearing the blood mask, and Pearce will probably look like he just took a shower. So I don't know, man. This guy, Jonathan Pearce, is special, and he is a problem for everybody in the division because he's got a very rare combination of skill sets that's just very difficult to deal with. I think Pearce, by ass shaving, is what's going to happen here. And I see him, you know, drowning Darren Elkins and finishing him in the 3rd round here. It's a great fight, but the thing about Elkins is he never really gets submitted. So if you're going to pick somebody to finish him, pick him to win by KO. And the way Pearce just puts that pace on people, I think round 2, round 3 is always the best look for a Jonathan Pearce fight. I'm going to go with round 3 in this spot. I'm looking for Pearce to shave some ass, everybody. The next fight is going to be Michael Johnson, the menace, going up against Marc D1 Diakiese. Johnson's plus 250. Diakiese minus 300. The fight doesn't go to decision, sitting at plus 160. Let me see here. Go back just a little bit. My guy Mushroom saying all Elkins spilled blood will be collected and given to that Nosferatu-looking Spivak. My guy right there, Nosferatu, will be swooping in from the rafters, like looking like a vampire bat. Once all that blood is there on the canvas, he'll just lick it up. I'm sorry to keep putting Spivak's pick up there, you guys. Fun fact, both Darren Elkins and Clay Guida fought in the American War for Independence. Come on. My guy Chris Colanz is in the room. Uncle Hefner dropping some science this evening. Preach, brother. Good to see you hanging out in here, Chris. Oh, man. All right, so let's move on, you guys. Let's get, Glimbot saying JSP is Weezy's guy and the damage is Lou's guy. I actually, my cousin married a guy who trained with Darren Elkins. He's an Indiana guy. He's right around the corner from me in Portage, Indiana. I'm a huge Darren Elkins fan. Don't get it twisted. It's just that this guy, Pearce, I think is part of that new breed of fighter that can wrestle for a full 15 minutes and not get tired. And it can also take a bunch of punishment, which means that if you don't get them out of there early, they're going to drown you late. So, yeah, man, definitely a good stuff. Great opponent, great fight. But I think that Elkins has just taken too much damage over the years, and to survive 3 rounds with this guy is going to be very difficult. But the next fight is going to be Michael Menace Johnson here against Diakiese. Do I have my banner up? Yeah. So plus 160 for the fight doesn't go, but yeah, Diakiese a big favorite here at minus 300. So the measurables advantage goes to Diakiese. He's 7 years younger than Johnson. That's statistically significant. We usually find that kind of an age gap is winning 2/3 of the time. They're the same height and reach, and Johnson's a southpaw, so both fighters' power weapons will be open for business. The experience advantage goes to Johnson. He's got 17 more pro fights. He's got 215 more minutes in the pro cage, over 5.5 more years as a pro. He also has the UFC experience advantage with 14 more UFC fights, and he's got 160 more minutes in the UFC cage. Johnson's the better finisher, and Diakiese has been a little bit more durable over their careers. It's Johnson who's got the better finish rate as a pro, 55% compared to 44% for Diakiese. And at the UFC level, Johnson's finishing better, 42% there, 29% for Diakiese. And Diakiese has been finished at a lower rate than Johnson, both as a pro and at the UFC level, so I'll give him the durability advantage here. In the striking, I'm going to call it even. Both of these guys are solid strikers. They both have positive, significant strike differentials. They both throw more volume than their opponents, and they've both landed more knockdowns than they have absorbed. Johnson's got the better power metrics, though. But the grappling advantage has to go to Diakiese. Marc's been absolutely destroying his opponents with his grappling lately. In Marc's wins, he's 33 of 54 on his takedown attempts with over 50% control time for and 9.6% control time against. In Marc's losses, he's 2 for 20 on his takedowns, and he's getting out-controlled 20% to 9%. So Marc's obviously doing way better when he gets his wrestling and top control game going. If he's unable to do that, this fight is going to be very, very close because Marc is not a significantly better striker than Michael Johnson. I'm sure there are some that would even argue that Johnson would be the better striker in this spot, but he's 7 years older, so that's going to be, a kind of a big thing in this spot. But we just have to take a look at a couple of things here because I want to make this very clear. This version of Marc Diakiese that we've seen in these last couple of fights is a version that's not going to look as good in this one. Damir Hadzovic and Vyacheslav Borshev have some of the worst takedown defense that you're ever going to see at this level of mixed martial arts. And he's 19 of 29 on his takedowns in his last 2 fights, which means that outside of those fights, 45, he's 16 of 45. He's getting takedowns. He got 4 of 7 against Venata. He got 3 of 4 against Duffy. He got 6 of 13 against Frankie Perez back in 2016. But there's a lot of fights where he doesn't get takedowns, where he doesn't win a lot of minutes on the ground. And, Lucas Sajeski and Frankie Perez and Timu Pakalin, those are guys that you can beat without taking them down. But, guys like Drakkar Klose, guys like Dan Hooker, guys like Nasrat Haqparast, who actually are higher level mixed martial artists with good takedown defense, he's losing those fights. And I just want to look, 19 takedowns in his last 2 fights. He got 1,559 seconds of control time in his last 2 fights. 1,559 divided by 1,800 means that he was controlling 86.6% of the fight, okay, of those 2 combined fights. The most amount of control time that Michael Johnson has ever given up in a fight was 630 seconds against Miles Jury back in 2012. Since then, he gave up 367 to Reza Madadi, who's a very good wrestler. And then he goes all these fights were basically giving no control time up. He gave up some to Philly, 201 seconds. He definitely gave up 121 seconds to Darren Elkins, 174 seconds to Stevie Ray, 413 seconds to Clay Guida. But these guys, Guida's a better wrestler. Clay Guida's a master of control time. We'll talk about that next with his fight. But I just think that Diakiese is going to win this fight. I think it's going to be close, though, you guys. I think that the money line on Michael Johnson has got a ton of value where it's at right now. And I know. You're saying it's Michael Johnson. Who bets on Michael Johnson? You're going to be miserable. Well, Michael Johnson's plus 250. It's not like you're laying minus 200 and he shits the bet. You know where you're at when you're putting a plus 250 bet in. It's not going to cash all the time. If it cashes 40% of the time, you're stoked. You're stoked if you're winning 4 out of 10. But if Diakiese is struggling to get takedowns here, Johnson's not going to have to win a lot of stand-up exchanges in order to get the nod on the scorecards. We know that these judges are favoring damage over control time. So I think it's very worrisome here to assume that Diakiese is going to be as dominant of a grappler as he was against Borshev and Hadzovic, who couldn't stop a takedown if their life depended on it. Michael Johnson's got 80% takedown defense over his UFC career, and that's over a 96 takedown sample size. And he's, even though he's only tried 23 and his opponents have attempted 96, which means that his opponents are attempting 4 takedowns for every 1 that Michael Johnson attempts, his opponents are only out controlling him 17% to 10%. So Michael Johnson he's just not giving up a lot of control time. You would think that Diakiese, in order to win this fight, is probably going to have to control 40% of it. We just don't see Michael Johnson giving up that kind of control time on the regular that often. So I do think that Diakiese wins this fight. I think he wins it by decision. But I think the value is on that plus 250 on the Michael Johnson money line. And I might actually get to a bet there. But don't get it twisted. I do think that Diakiese wins this one by decision. But it's going to be close if Diakiese doesn't look like the D1 Diakiese that we saw against guys with really, really bad takedown defense. Michael Johnson's the one that has the wrestling background here, not Diakiese. So, yeah, interesting fight. Diakiese by decision is the pick. But if Michael Johnson on fight day is plus 300, I'm probably throwing a unit on him and hoping for the best. But it'll probably be dead money. But either way, when the line goes too far, we got to take advantage of it. Next fight is going to be Clay Guida, the Carpenter, the legend, going up against Scott Holtzman, hot sauce. Clay is plus 132. Scott is minus 152. And the fight doesn't go to decision, plus money at plus 155 here. Let's see. All right. So the measurables for Guida Holtzman I have is even. Holtzman's a little more than a year younger, and he's 2 inches taller, but Clay's got a 1 inch reach advantage here. The experience advantage obviously goes to Guida. Guida's got an experience advantage over pretty much anyone in the UFC, not named Jim Miller, I think. He's got 40 more pro fights in comparison to Scott. He's got 300 more minutes in the pro cage, 5 more hours in the pro cage, 8.5 more years as a pro fighter. He's also been way busier, averaging 3 fights a year over the entirety of that 19-year and 3-month career that we've seen from Clay Guida. One of the busiest fighters in the game. Never gets hurt. Always fighting. And here he is at the age of 40, going on 41 in 1 week, but I'll have you know. Still looking as spry as ever. So the finish stats and durability, I'm giving a slight edge to Holtzman here. He's got the better finish rates in the UFC, both for at 43% to 41% and against. He's only getting finished 40% of the time, while for Clay, it's 57% of the time. And Clay has been mostly finished by submission, and for Holtzman, he's been KO'd twice in the UFC. The striking advantage I'll give to Holtzman. He's got the better significant strike differential in the UFC, 0.74 positive to negative 0.29 for Guida. He's got the superior knockdowns per 15 minutes, 0.39 to 0.24. And he's been more accurate than Clay, 49% striking accuracy, 33.7 for Clay Guida. Guida's better defensively, though. It's 62.3% striking defense to 53.6 for Holtzman. And he can be hard to find on the feet due to his constant lateral movement and herky-jerky style. Definitely have to give the edge to Scott here, as we've seen Guida get outstruck by guys like Marc Madsen and Leo Santos lately. The grappling advantage, I'm going to give to Guida. Over a massive sample size of 33 UFC fights and almost 375 minutes of UFC cage time, Guida's outcontrolling his opponents 39% to 9%. He's getting 2.88 takedowns per 15 minutes, and he's only yielding 0.68. He's attempted 202 takedowns in 33 fights, and he's consistently winning minutes with his wrestling and his top control. Scott also has fantastic grappling numbers, outcontrolling his opponents at almost a 2-to-1 ratio and showing excellent grappling efficiency, doing more with less in the grappling exchanges. It's going to be close, but I think the metrics Guida has put out over a massive sample size can't be ignored here. The strength of schedule I have is even. Both guys have fought top-notch competition. Guida's fought the more experienced competition, while Holtzman has fought and beaten the better win-loss ratio competitions with names like Gamrot, Dariush, Miller being his last 3, which is much tougher than the last 3 for Guida with Puelles, Leo Santos, and Marc Madsen. And Clay could have lost all 3 of those fights. The summary, we have two guys on the wrong side of 39 years old here, and Holtzman's coming off a 1.5-year layoff, and he's been knocked out in his last 2 fights. Wow. Yeah, that's tough, right? I mean, Clay's got the 1-inch reach advantage. He's got the experience and the activity advantages. He's got the grappling advantage, and he's fought the more slightly experienced UFC competition. While Holtzman is a year younger, he's the slightly better finisher, and he's got the striking advantage, and he has fought the better win-loss competition. I think this fight plays out close, but I see Scott having the bigger moments, and I think he probably wins this one by decision. I know that we can count on him to wrestle, and, you know, Guida has been taken down. Guida has been submitted. But I can't bet on either one of these guys. And the layoff for Holtzman really does terrify me. I might actually switch this pick to Clay Guida here because he has been busier, because he has been fighting. And, yeah, that 66% takedown defense for Holtzman, yeah, I think I'll switch it, you guys. I'm going to go Clay Guida, the Carpenter, one more time, rolling with him to win this fight by decision. Wrestling heavy, we'll say. Next fight is going to be Angela Overkill Hill going up against Emily Ducote. Let me see something here real quick. Oh, I did not know this. Victor Jesus saying, Weezy, fun fact, this is Holtzman's retirement fight. I did not know that. That is a good reason to pick Clay Guida here, man. All right. Let's go. Banners, Angela Hill, plus 105. Emily Ducote, minus 125. Fight doesn't go to decision, plus 290. So they see this one going to decision pretty much every time. So Ducote's got the measurables advantage. These ladies are about the same size, but Hill is listed as being an inch taller. But the biggest difference here is the fact that Ducote is 9 years younger than Angela, which is significant. Other than that, they match up the same. The experience advantage goes to Hill. Angie's got 8 more pro fights, 85 more minutes in the pro cage, and 1.5 more years as a pro fighter. Hill has a huge UFC experience advantage, though, with 19 more fights and over 275 more minutes in the UFC cage. So big-time experience advantage here for Overkill. The finish stats and durability I have is even. Ducote has the better finish rate as a pro, 58% to 36% for Hill, and she's been more diverse finisher with 4 submissions and 3 knockouts, while all 5 of Hill's career finishes are by knockout. Both of these ladies are very durable. Neither has ever been knocked out, and they've each been finished in 17% of their career losses, all by sub. So 2 of 12 losses for Hill, 1 of 6 for Ducote. They've been finished in, and they were all submissions. So the striking advantage I give to Hill here. Hill has always been at her best in the UFC when she's allowed to keep fights at striking distance range. So Ducote has the far better metrics, but in a 15-minute sample size, it just doesn't mean much when it's compared to 293-minute sample size for Angela. So even though I think this is close on the feet, I do lean Hill. Angie has amassed nice metrics over a UFC career with a 0.38 significant strike differentials. That's positive, but she's throwing 2.51 less significant strike attempts than her opponents. This is made possible by Hill's 63% striking defense. Against Jessica Penne, Emily racked up a 3.53 significant strike differential with over 56% accuracy and 74% striking defense. I see this fight taking place at distance striking range for pretty much the entire fight, and they're very well matched, so I see this being a close fight. In the grappling, it's even. I don't see this fight going to the grappling at all. Ducote hasn't attempted a UFC takedown, and Hill only has 12 takedowns in 21 UFC fights, and she has 12% control time on 41 career takedown attempts. This should be a kickboxing match. The strength of schedule advantage, that definitely goes to Hill. I mean, come on, 21 UFC fights to only 1 for Ducote. She's fought everybody. So Hill's got the overall and the UFC experience advantages, the striking and the strength of schedule advantages, while Ducote's 9 years younger, and she's been the better and more diverse finisher as a pro. I see this fight playing out on the feet, and I see it probably going to a split decision, but I've got to go with the experience of Hill here. I think she's going to get the fight that she wants. I think she's going to be the better striker here. I mean, the fact that she's going 3 rounds with Amanda Lemos and not getting knocked out and frankly, almost winning that fight, it makes me confident that Angela still has what it takes in order to make this at least very close. I think she cashes the underdog ticket for you if you roll with her here. I think she's going to get the fight that she wants. I know she's a lot more experienced, and I know that she's fought the better brand of competition. And, but she's 37. That's the thing that scares me. That's probably why I'm not going to make the bet, because I do like the experience and strength to schedule advantages here, and I think she'll be the better striker. But, when you're fighting somebody that much younger than you, I think that that's very significant. So it's got me staying away. But the pick is going to be Angie Overkill Hill by decision. The next fight, what a banger. We got the hybrid, Niko Price, going up against the Fresh Prince in Philip Rowe. Let me get that banner up for you here. We got Niko Price is minus 140. He's the favorite. Phil Rowe, the underdog, plus 120. Fight doesn't go to decision. They say this thing finishes inside the distance 2 out of 3 times. Minus 200 there. Let me see here. Real quick. Okay, good. The notes that I have on this fight, the measurables advantage is going to go to Phil Rowe without question. He's 1 year younger, but he's 3 inches taller, and he's got a 4-inch reach advantage here. Phil Rowe is a massive welterweight, but he's somebody that you got to see on the scales. He's missed weight. Weighed in at 173.5 against Orion Kosi. I mean, he's a big dude, and he has trouble making weight. So going to have to keep that in mind here. The experience advantage that goes to Niko Price is he's got 10 more pro fights. He's got 40 more minutes in the pro cage, and he's got almost 3 more years as a pro fighter. He also has the UFC experience advantage with 10 more fights and over 70 more minutes in the UFC cage. The finish stats and durability advantage goes to Rowe. Phil has the better finish rate as a pro. He's got a 100% finish rate, while it's 87% for Price. And at the UFC level, 100% for Rowe, 86% for Niko Price. Rowe's been finished in 1 of 3 pro losses by knockout, and he lost his only UFC fight by decision. Price has been finished in 4 of 5 UFC losses, though. 3 times by knockout, once by submission, so I have to give Rowe the finish stats and durability edges here. Striking, I'm going to give the advantage to Rowe. Although it's a smaller sample size, I like Rowe's striking metrics. He's got the better differential at positive 0.36 compared to negative 0.5 for Niko Price. He's got the better accuracy. He's got the better striking defense. And he's got the better power numbers at knockdowns per 15 at 1.07 compared to 0.66 for Price. Both of these guys have really got great power without question. And both have been dropped a lot. But it's Rowe who's absorbing more knockdowns per 15 minutes, 1.07 for Rowe compared to 0.52 for Niko Price. That 4-inch reach advantage for Rowe could be huge here, and Phil shows the most power when he has his opponent on the end of his punches. It's going to be fun to watch these two strike at distance for sure. The grappling advantage, I'm going to give that advantage to Price here. Here's why. I think Rowe's the better submission grappler overall, but he's way too comfortable working off his back, and because of that, he can lose a ton of minutes playing around with his opponent and his guard. Rowe's allowing 3.22 takedowns per 15 minutes, and he's been controlled 35.75% of his 42 minutes in the UFC cage. So Price hasn't been a good wrestler by any means, only getting his takedown attempts at a 22% rate. However, when he does go to his wrestling consistently, as he's attempted 27 takedowns in 14 fights, and he gets as much control time as he allows, so he hasn't been as inefficient as Phil Rowe as Rowe has been in those control time positions. So I just worry, because Rowe has got sub 50% takedown defense, and he's giving up a ton of control time at 36%. So it seems like if Niko doesn't like how it's going on the feet, he can get this thing into the clinch and then just try to wear on Phil Rowe and try to win minutes there. And if he can get him down, Rowe does not do a great job of getting back up, man. And he's just given up too many minutes playing off of his back. We definitely saw Witt and Coatsy and even Gabe Green have some success on the ground against him. The strength of schedule advantage goes to Niko Price. He's fought, beaten, and lost to the better win-loss ratio, more experienced competition, and it's not even close. Price has the overall and UFC experience advantages. He's got the grappling metrics and the strength of schedule advantages here, while Rowe is younger, 3 inches taller, and he's got a 4-inch reach advantage. He has the finish stats, durability, and striking advantages. This is going to be a banger. Both guys have a ton of power. Both have been KO'd before. I love the under 2.5 here, but I'm going to pick Niko Price to win this fight. When I went, my original read was Phil Rowe, but I just don't like Phil Rowe's A. I don't like the takedown defense. B, I don't like how he deals with pressure. He doesn't seem to move laterally or fast enough in order to deal with pressure and keep his opponents on the end of his punches, using that full 80-inch reach that he's blessed with. That's when he's at his best. And Niko's a guy who is going to pressure you and is going to put a pace on you. So I feel like if Niko does walk forward and gets this thing into boxing range and doesn't allow Rowe to use that reach advantage, and he throws those low leg kicks, which he has thrown in the past, and I think Niko's grappling game is very good. His takedown game sucks, unfortunately. 22% takedown accuracy, but when he gets to the ground, whether he's on the bottom or the top, he's not out of his depth there. He's a solid grappler, and I just prefer, while both of these guys are great moment winners, both are spectacular finishers, I like the minute winning of Niko Price, and I also like the durability of Niko Price in that you can land big shots on Niko and then rush in for that finish, and he lands one big left hook and you're done. So I like Niko Price to win this fight, and I'm gonna pick actually Niko, even though I think this fight finishes inside the distance. It's the minute winning potential of Niko that I like here, so I'm actually gonna pick Price to win by decision. But that being said, both of these guys are such fantastic and explosive moment winners and finishers that I wouldn't be surprised at all if this thing finished inside the distance. And I could see Price getting a knockout. I could see Rowe getting a knockout. And I think one interesting prop would be fight to end by knockout. Because both of these guys, I mean, especially Niko Price has been finished by knockout 3 of 5 times at the UFC level. And he's been subbed once. And we can see that while Rowe has a bunch of subs on his record, he's got 4 subs and 5 knockouts. At the UFC level, it's knockouts. You know, he's faced some, you know, good wrestlers and grapplers here, and up at this level, he's not really submitting guys. So I like this fight to end by knockout, and that could be a potential bet for me if I could find that at plus money. But yeah, the pick is going to be Niko Price in this one by decision. The next fight that we're going to talk about is Eryk, your boy Anders, going up against Kyle Daukaus. Daukaus is a big favorite here at minus 225. Eryk Anders plus 190. The fight doesn't go to decision, sitting at plus 125. So the measurables advantage goes to Daukaus here, as he's 6 years younger than Eryk. He's 2 inches taller, and he's got a 1-inch reach advantage. This is a southpaw versus southpaw matchup, so that's interesting. The experience advantage is going to go to Anders here. He's got 8 more pro fights, over 90 more minutes in the pro cage, and over a year more as a pro fighter. He also has the UFC experience advantage with 7 more fights and 100 more minutes in the UFC cage. The finish stats and durability, I'm having it as even. While Daukaus is the better finisher as a pro, is he's got an 82% finish rate compared to 64%. I didn't even change the sorry, guys. There we go. There's the stats. It's Anders who has the better UFC finish rate at 50% compared to 33% for Daukaus. Kyle finishes fights by submission, and Anders pretty much only gets KOs. Both of these guys are durable, as Kyle's only been finished once in 15 fights, and for Anders, it's only twice in 23 pro fights. The striking advantage I'm giving to Anders. Kyle's got good boxing, and he seems to have the ability to win minutes with it. However, it looks like Kyle has way more confidence in his grappling. Therefore, he tends to use his striking to set up his grappling. Kyle's got the superior significant strike differential, positive 0.49 compared to negative 0.94 for Anders. He's got the better accuracy at 54% to 47% for Anders. And he throws 1.32 more significant strikes per minute than his opponents do, while Anders is throwing 1.5 less. So a lot better volume for Kyle Daukaus as well. And it's Anders, though, who appears to be more comfortable on the feet and way more dangerous on the feet. Eryk's got 6 knockdowns in 14 UFC fights, while Kyle has 0. And Eryk averages 0.52 knockdowns per 15 minutes, and Kyle absorbs 0.64 knockdowns per 15 minutes. And Kyle's got a terrible 41% striking defense. So while this fight's on the feet, I see Eryk winning minutes with his size and strength in the clinch and at distance with his superior defense and power. But in the grappling, that's Daukaus. Kyle spends about 60% of his UFC fights in control time positions, and he wins 64% of those control time positions. He gets 2.36 takedowns per 15 minutes, and he attempts 2.15 submission attempts per 15 minutes. In addition to that, he has 86% takedown defense, but he's allowed 21.6% control time to his opponents. So while he's got good takedown defense, if you do take him down, he can get stuck on his back. Eryk and Kyle both average about 5 takedowns per UFC fight, takedown attempts per UFC fight, but I see Kyle being the one initiating the grappling here. Eryk's got 75% takedown defense, and he allows less than 9% control time to his opponent, so it's going to be difficult for Kyle to get Eryk down and hold him there. I see this being a close fight, but Kyle will be more comfortable in the grappling exchanges. The strength of schedule is advantage Anders. I like Anders' wins better than Kyle's here. As you can see, Kyle's wins come up against guys with a 0.75 win-loss ratio, while it's 1.04 for Anders, and it's the more experienced competition, almost twice as experienced. So definitely like those wins for Anders, and he's fighting the more experienced competition on the aggregate as well. So in summary, Eryk has the overall and the UFC experience advantages. He's been more durable. He has the striking, the power, and the striking defense advantages, and he's fought the more experienced competition and has the better UFC wins. While Kyle is 6 years younger, he's got a 1-inch reach advantage, and he's got the better overall finish rate. He's also got the better significant strike differential and striking accuracy, and he has the grappling advantage in this spot. I think this fight plays out close and the line is way too wide. I'll be taking a long look at the Anders money line at plus 190. I haven't pulled the trigger yet, but the pick is going to be Kyle Daukaus by decision because, I think that Daukaus looks good on the feet when he's there. I love the ability for him to be able to get submissions potentially. Kyle Daukaus is a submission whiz, and his front chokes and Darce chokes are incredible. But I don't think Anders is going to be looking to take him down. I think maybe he looks to wear on him in the clinch some, which is where Hawes had some success, or Dolidze had some success. But Anders is a big, strong man. He's going to be the much thicker dude here. And Kyle trying to get him down and hold him down, I think is going to be difficult, man. And I could really see Eryk Anders getting this win. I think Daukaus will be the more dangerous submission grappler, obviously, but I think Eryk Anders will be a lot more dangerous while this is on the feet. I could see this fight going either way, and my favorite bet for this fight would be Eryk Anders' money line at plus 190. I think that that's something you kind of have to take a shot on, but Kyle Daukaus by submission at better than plus 300. And by the way, Kyle Daukaus' nickname is the Darce Knight, in case you didn't know that. I think that might be new. The Darce Knight, Kyle Daukaus, and he does have a fantastic Darce choke. But yeah, I'm picking Daukaus by decision, but I feel like I should almost change that to your boy Eryk. Yeah, you know what? I'm changing it to Anders by decision. I think Anders is going to wear on him. I think he's going to wear on him in the clinch, and I think he's going to land the bigger shots on the feet. And if Kyle isn't able to decisively win a ton of minutes on the ground, it's going to be tough sledding for him here. I think I'll be making an Eryk Anders bet. I just haven't gotten there yet. We've got still 5 more fights to break down, you guys. It's a long one. I appreciate you guys hanging out with me. We're already an hour and a half in, but it's 15 fights after the break week, so they're putting me to work. The next fight that we get to talk about, Roman Dolidze, the wife stealer, at plus 167 versus Jack the Joker Hermansson at minus 192. The fight doesn't go to decision, right at a 50% implied probability there with plus 100. And we got Mushroom here saying, Coach, you want me to steal his wife too? You gotta love that, dude. That's fantastic stuff, because that's exactly what he did. But he's much bigger than JP Bays, so what are you going to do, man? Let's see here. We've got Dolidze Hermansson. So the measurables are even. They've got the same age and stance. Roman is 1 inch taller, and Jack has a 1 inch reach advantage. The experience advantage, that goes to Hermansson. Jack's got 18 more professional fights. He's got 230 more minutes in the pro cage and over 7 more years as a pro fighter. He also has the UFC experience advantage with 9 more fights and over 100 more minutes in the UFC cage. When the finish stats and durability are discussed, we're looking at advantage Dolidze here, especially in the durability. Dolidze's got the better finish rate as a pro, 82% compared to 74% for Hermansson, but they both have 60% finish rates at the UFC level. Dolidze's only lost once in his career, and it was by decision, while Jack has been finished in 3 of 5 UFC losses. So that's why I'm giving Dolidze that durability edge. When it comes to the striking, I got to give the edge to Hermansson here. I mean, he's got like almost a 1.5 significant strike differential, while it's about a little more than 1 for Dolidze, which is good, but it's just Dolidze's incredibly low volume. So with Dolidze, you're basically, he'll win striking exchanges if he lands a big shot, but that's really his only chance. And some of the big shots that he's landed, I think, frankly, have been flukes, especially the one against the debut against that bum, the Russian guy who gasses out after 30 seconds. Not Antigulov, but either way, the guy was a complete bum. He lost to everybody that he fought at the UFC level. And Dolidze caught him with a real lucky. He was trying to kick him in the head, but he got him with his knee instead. Hermansson outboxed Chris Curtis for 15 minutes, but he also got outboxed by somebody his own size in Sean Strickland. And Dolidze is a big dude. Chris Curtis is a welterweight who fights at middleweight because he takes short notice fights. So Curtis was just out of his depth there, and he didn't know how to close the distance. I don't think Roman Dolidze is going to have a problem closing distance here. As a matter of fact, he's the taller guy, and he's only got a 1 inch reach disadvantage here. It's just that Dolidze is slower than Jack. He throws a lot less volume than Jack, and I think that Jack is going to be the much better athlete here. He's faster for sure, and he moves a lot better. He's got better footwork. And both of these guys are fantastic grapplers. It's Dolidze who actually gets his takedowns at a high clip, though. We really can't count on Jack's wrestling. Dolidze getting his takedowns at a 53% clip, out-controlling his opponents 40% to 6%. But he's only showing 33% takedown defense. But that being said, he's been controlled for about 3 minutes on those 6 takedowns. So even if you're taking Roman Dolidze down, chances are you're not holding him there. And Hermansson only 28% on his takedown attempts, but he is out-controlling his opponents 18% to 12%. But the efficiency isn't great, to be perfectly honest with you. But the biggest statistical thing that we need to talk about with this fight, it's the strength of schedule. 1.54 ratio for Jack, 0.94 for Dolidze. Twice as experienced competition Hermansson's fighting. The ratio of the wins to losses in Hermansson's opponents is about twice as good as Dolidze's, and he's fighting more than twice as experienced competition. So, look, Jack, there's really no place that Jack's at a deficit to this dude. He's got, except for in power on the feet. Dolidze's the better moment winner without question. Knocks out Kyle Daukaus, something that nobody had ever done. He knocks out Phil Hawes, both of them in the first round. Nobody saw that coming. So Roman Dolidze is white hot right now. This is a guy who has used steroids in the past. He has been suspended for them. He's got a lot of power. He's strong. He's the moment winner here. But his fight IQ is horrible. He goes for leg locks constantly. And if he does that and Hermansson winds up on top of him, he's going to be in big trouble. Hermansson's got savage ground and pound, and he's got an amazing guillotine. So, I just don't think Jack's going to be out of his depth anywhere here against Roman Dolidze, and I'm going to be picking him to win this fight. And I think he's going to probably get him out of there by submission after the 1.5 round mark. I think he's definitely going to frustrate Roman Dolidze and win this fight. Dolidze is taking this fight on short notice, and it's a very quick turnaround for him. Also, there were some whispers that Hermansson, during the Shabazian fights and the Strickland fight, was not 100% and was dealing with an injury. I don't know what kind of an injury, but certainly when he came back against Chris Curtis, he looked like a completely different fighter, and he looked like he had all of his wits about him. Now, the fact that Dolidze is going to have to cut weight for the second time now in about a month, that he's taking this fight on short notice, and that it's a massive step up in competition. I'm really interested to see how this fight looks when it gets out of the first round and maybe Dolidze doesn't have the same amount of power that he normally would. Because the thing about Dolidze is that he is getting those finishes early. If we go to the advanced stats here, we can see the knockout, and the knockout all coming in round one. But if the fight gets out of round one, he's losing fights to Trevin Giles here. And I mean, like the Alon fight was actually kind of close, if I remember correctly. I think that Jack is just better everywhere. I think he's the better minute winner. And I think what you really have to worry about is Dolidze's best win condition, which would be a first-round knockout against Jack, who has been finished 3 times at the UFC level and knocked out twice. So the pick is going to be Jack Hermansson, and I'm going to pick him to win it by – I'm going to pick him to win by decision here. The next fight, wow, Tuivasa, bam, bam, going up against the super soldier, Sergey Pavlovich. Sergey Pavlovich with just ridiculous size for the division, an 84-inch reach. He is very, very difficult to deal with. And I see that we've got, wow, a ring-a-ding-ding. My guy Glenbot in the room saying, thanks, Weezy. And there's 4 fights that meet my metric of 9 of 10 of an outcome for over-under. So a max parlay is on the cards for this week. I will shout you out, Glenbot, in the Discord and find out what you're doing there, and I may be tailing you on that. But I always love when you have those 9 of 10s. It's a great way to throw a parlay together that's got the analytics really on your side, where you really need some variance in order to have it go tits up. And that's the last thing we want, is to have any of these bets go tits up. But when you got those great analytics behind it, it'll be happening less times than it would happen to other people who don't do the proper research. So I appreciate you, Glenbot. Ring a ding ding. Chalk up the second donation. We got Victor Jesus and Glenbot keeping the lights on here in Uncle Weezy's studio. I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. So we've got Tuivasa's plus 185, Sergey Pavlovich minus 215. The fight doesn't go to decision, sitting at minus 550. So the measurables is obviously Pavlovich here. Tuivasa's a year younger, but Sergey's an inch taller, and he's got a 9-inch reach advantage. These guys have similar experience numbers, but it's Tuivasa who's got 75 more minutes in the UFC cage and 7 more UFC level fights. Both of these guys only finish by knockout, and they're both finishing at incredible rates. 88% of Tai Tuivasa's 8 UFC wins are inside the distance by knockout, and all 4 of Sergey Pavlovich's UFC wins are inside the distance by knockout, all of them in the very first round. Tuivasa's been finished in 3 of 4 losses, and Sergey has been finished in his only loss. So this is about power numbers. Sergey Pavlovich is averaging 4.76 knockdowns per 15 minutes. Tuivasa averaging 1.4 knockdowns per 15 minutes. Pavlovich has never been knocked down at the UFC level, while Tai Tuivasa has been knocked down 3 times at the UFC level. Grappling, we're not even going to talk about because neither one of these guys is going to grapple at all. These are very difficult fights to bet on because it's 2 heavyweights with, crazy power in their hands. Tai Tuivasa lands a knockdown on over 2% of the significant strikes that he lands. Sergey Pavlovich lands a knockdown on over 4% of the knockdowns or of the significant strikes that he lands. You think about that, right? 4.6, so that means that's 5 knockdowns in 12 minutes. 1 knockdown every 2 minutes, basically, for this guy Pavlovich. Tuivasa, he's got 7. He's got 8 knockdowns, but that's in 86 minutes. So he's getting like 1 every 10 to 11 minutes, while Pavlovich is getting a knockdown every 2 minutes. It's going to be difficult for him to close this distance here. Both of these guys power weapons in his southpaw versus southpaw matchup. The jab will be there for both of them. And I just see Pavlovich getting the win here. The guy's 84-inch reach is going to be a serious problem to deal with. And he's a little more well-rounded than people give him credit for in that he was fighting in Russia. So he's definitely seen some wrestlers too. But this guy's just built different. He's way more athletic. He's way faster. He's way more powerful. And he's just got the frame to do it. So it's going to be Sergey Pavlovich by first-round knockout is going to be the prediction here. You just don't really need a lot of analysis on that one from me, I don't think. And then here's another one. Matheus Nicolau, minus 380. Going up against Matt Danger Schnell at plus 315. The fight doesn't go to decision at minus 130 here. This is nuts. I mean, this line is crazy. I'm not touching this fight at all, but let's look at the numbers here. So we've got Nicolau is younger, but it's Schnell who's the bigger dude, 2 inches taller, and he's got a 4-inch reach advantage. The experience numbers are very similar. Nicolau more minutes in the cage, Schnell more fights, Schnell more UFC fights. Minutes in the UFC cage very similar here. So you can see an average fight time at the UFC level of 13 minutes for Nicolau, but 8.07 for Schnell. A 50% finish rate overall for Nicolau, a 69% finish rate for Schnell, but it's Schnell who's finishing fights at the UFC level at a much higher rate. Let's see, we've got UFC 100% knockout rate against here for Matheus Nicolau, while Schnell has been finished in 4 of his 5 UFC losses, 3 times by knockout, once by submission. It's a positive, significant strike differential here for Matheus Nicolau. He's shown some power. He's got great striking defense, and he's only been dropped once. I think at the feet, Matt Schnell's a very skilled boxer, and Nicolau's done a good job of outlanding his opponents and showing great defense. He doesn't have to throw a ton of volume in order to outland you because he's so defensively responsible. And Schnell, 57% striking defense is pretty good, but he's been dropped 3 times in 11 fights, while Nicolau's been dropped twice in 7 fights. So, this is one for a flyweight fight. I think it really has a very high percentage chance of finishing inside the distance because Schnell's been finished in 6 of 7 losses as a pro, because Nicolau's been finished in both of his losses as a pro. Talking about 8 of 9 losses here. I'm sorry, 7 of 9 losses inside the distance for Schnell and Nicolau. So neither one of these guys has shown much durability. And with Nicolau, you've got a guy who is a very dangerous submission grappler and who's landed 5 knockdowns in 7 UFC fights. Schnell doesn't really go for takedowns, and he's only gotten 5% control time over his 11 fights. So that's about 4 minutes of control time out of 88 minutes in the UFC cage. But Nicolau, even though he's only attempted 3 takedowns per fight, and even though he's only getting about 1.46 takedowns per 15 minutes, he's, fantastic control time percentage of 18.5% for, only 5% against, and he's showing 93% takedown defense. So, yeah, I think Nicolau's much more dangerous on the feet. I think he's much more likely to win minutes in the grappling exchanges here. Nicolau has fought the more experienced competition overall, and the wins are pretty similar for both of these guys. But I just think Nicolau's way, way, way more dangerous. And to watch Matt Schnell kind of go out there against Sumudaerji and just really get the shit beaten out of him, and then Mudaerji got caught in a submission, which is something that he's done over and over and over again. I see Nicolau cruising here, taking care of Matt Schnell easily, but this line is entirely too wide, so I'm not going to touch it. Don't mind the violent spots here. If we look at the prop template available on Uncle Weezy's Patreon, the fight doesn't go to decision here at minus 130. Is a 56% implied probability. It's very overpriced according to the benchmark, and it's overpriced according to the fact that 50% of these guys' fights have finished inside the distance, and we're paying 56%, but 5 of 6 combined losses inside the distance for these guys at the UFC level. They both don't show durability. They both don't really show the ability to be able to push through when things aren't going their way. So I think somebody does get finished here. Maybe if you're putting together a parlay, you try for violence here, but the price just isn't right. So I'm not betting it straight. But, yeah, the under 2.5 was plus 100 when you hit it. Dan Goldstein, that's a much better look than minus 110. Get a better price. But, it is what it is. I think that violence does happen here, but it's not priced fairly enough for me to chase after it. The pick is going to be Matheus Nicolau. And I'm going to say that he's going to get it done by knockout in the second round. All right. And the next fight, Bryan Barberena plus 420 going up against Rafael dos Anjos, minus 550. Fight doesn't go to decision, sitting at plus 125. This is a nightmare for Bryan Barberena. And, I think that this line makes perfect sense exactly where it's at. I'm not sure where Bryan Barberena is any better than this guy. The fact that he's lost a shit ton of minutes to guys like Anthony Ivy and Jason Witt on the ground is terrifying when you got a guy in Dos Anjos, who's got 27% control time for, 21% control time allowed, absolutely drowns his opponents on the ground. Out-grappled Rafael Moicano, while Barberena has 56% takedown defense, and he's allowed 41 takedowns in 14 fights. He's giving up 3.322 takedowns per 15 minutes and allowing 25% control time against. So while this is on the feet, Bryan's going to have, he's going to be 4 inches taller and have a 2-inch reach advantage. But I just don't think that this fight's going to be on the feet that much. And even if it is, Rafael's not going to be out of his depth there. I don't think that he'd be out of his depth at all, actually. We saw Jason Witt win striking exchanges with Bryan Barberena. He's just been fighting older guys lately, but older guys that lose a ton of fights in Matt Brown and Robbie Lawler. Dos Anjos has been fighting the absolute top notch competition that there is to fight. Losing to guys like Kieser and Leon Edwards and Fasiv, but he destroyed Moicano. He beat Felder and took him down over and over and over again. And Felder's got way better takedown defense than Brian Barberena does. And I think he's just going to make this fight look like the Moicano and the Felder fights where he got a ton of control time. So, I really like Rafael Dos Anjos in this spot. He's fought the better brand of competition. He's beat the better brand of competition. He's miles better of a grappler. It's only a 3-round fight, so he just needs to win 2 of these rounds and not get knocked out. And with Barberena's piss-poor takedown defense, his bad get-up game, and Dos Anjos' fantastic top game, ground and pound, and submission game, I see Rafael getting this one done. Brian's been very, very durable, so I'm going to call Rafael Dos Anjos by decision here in this one. And that brings us to the main event. Stephen Wonderboy Thompson at plus 140 versus Kevin Holland, recently out of retirement at minus 160. The fight doesn't go to decision, sitting at minus 210. Let's see here. Oh, my guy here is saying, Uncle Weezy, I joined your Patreon and the Discord link doesn't work. I will post it right back in there. I have to repost it every week, my man, and I will post it as soon as the show is over. I'll post that Discord link in there for you so that you can get in there and find out all the track bets and everything that we're saying in there about these fights. And I appreciate you for joining the Patreon. That means a lot. Ring a ding ding. We got another member of the Patreon. We got Glenbot contributing to the show. We got my guy Victor DeJesus dropping a 50 spot on his Uncle Weezy. Thank you all so much for the support. Don't forget to hit that like button. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. And leave a comment down below. That means a lot as well. That really helps us out. Helps the algorithm drive people to the videos. And then hopefully people watch a couple more ads. And maybe I make an extra 50 cents this month. But I appreciate you guys for supporting, for hitting that big up button, for hitting that subscribe button, and for just showing up here to your Uncle Weezy's house to talk about these fights that are going to be happening on Saturday. And we've got 59 of you guys hanging out live with us right now. And let's bring up these stats for Wonderboy Thompson versus Holland. So obviously Holland's going to have a big-time measurables advantage here as he's 9 years younger, 3 inches taller, and he's got a 6-inch reach advantage. Holland, even though he's 9 years younger than this guy, he's actually got 9 more fights. I mean, Kevin Holland has a 10-year career, and he's fought 32 times. So just like Clay Guida, this guy is one of the busiest fighters in the UFC. He's constantly fighting. He's game to fight any day, any time, any opponent, any weight class. The guy is about that life. And Stephen Thompson, though, is a little more experienced in that he's got some more cage time. He's got 2.5 more years as a pro. He's got 1 more UFC level fight and about 80 more minutes in the UFC cage. When it comes to finish stats at the UFC level, Thompson finishing 45% of his wins, Kevin Holland finishing 72% of his wins. So Holland's a very equal opportunity finisher, getting submissions and knockouts, while Stephen Thompson is just dependent on the knockout here. And both of these guys are pretty durable. Stephen Thompson's only been finished once in 23 fights, and Kevin Holland has been finished 3 times in 32 fights, but Kevin Holland has never been knocked out, and he's never been knocked down in the UFC. So this guy's head is like a brick. The striking advantage I'm going to give to Stephen Thompson. Obviously, he's one of the best strikers in the UFC. Karate style, accurate, powerful, manages distance really well, moves laterally very well. And if you try to rush in on him, he can absolutely catch you. Fast, straight punches, a variety of kicks. That karate style can be very difficult. That in-out point fighting style can be very difficult to deal with. But Kevin Holland here is going to have a 6-inch reach advantage and a 3-inch height advantage. And he throws long, straight punches that have a ton of power behind them. So this is going to be a very, very fun striking match to watch here. But Holland's been a lot more accurate, but it's been Wonderboy who's been a lot more powerful. He's landed 10 knockdowns in 18 fights, while Kevin Holland has landed 4 knockdowns in 17 fights. So Thompson's been a lot more powerful, but also Thompson can get got. Thompson's been dropped 5 times. Kevin Holland's never been dropped. This guy's got very, very good durability, and he's got a serious chin on him. Grappling, I don't think that this fight is going to grab. I mean, I don't see Stephen Thompson trying takedowns. I don't see Kevin Holland trying takedowns. Holland just retired because he said he was sick of grapplers taking him down. He would be such a fucking hypocrite if he went out there and tried to grapple fuck Stephen Thompson. So I see this fight taking place on the feet at distance striking range, and I see it being a super fun main event where these guys stand and bang, and eventually one man might fall. I think that man might be Stephen Thompson, but I got to tell you, man, Kevin Holland, you know, he's a very good striker, but Stephen Thompson is another level than what he's been facing. I mean, if we look at Kevin Holland's record, right? Look at the strikers that he's faced. You know, he's faced Joaquin Buckley, who's a good striker. Thiago Santos is a good striker, and he knocked him out. But, you know, Phillips is a great striker, but an absolute bum, and he just took him down. Mearshart, grappler. DiChirico, a little bit of everything. Brendan Allen, grappler. Hernandez, grappler. Buckley, striker. Stewart, power striker. Ontiveros, striker, but not UFC level. Grappler. A little bit of a striker, all-around guy, grappler. He's been fighting a lot of grapplers. I'm interested to see, you know, how he's going to do at distance striking range here. Fights where, you know, he's going the distance, like against guys like Darren Stewart, you know, like he's going to decision with Darren Stewart. He's knocking out Jauregui with that freak thing. He got that knockout over Ontiveros, but, you know, there's a lot of losing records in here and a lot of grapplers in here and a lot of older veterans in here. Stephen Thompson has fought, you know, against really good strikers and won minutes against them. Beat Vicente Luque, beat Jeff Neal. You know, he's losing fights when he's getting taken down. He yielded 717 seconds of control time to Muhammad. Yielded 433 to Burns. He lost to Pettis, but he got caught there with a freak shot. He lost to Till. I don't remember that fight. The Woodley fights were weird. But, you know, when he's just boxing against guys, he's beating them, man. He's beating them pretty convincingly and getting a lot of finishes, too. So, very interesting fight here. I think Steven's the better striker. I think he's plus money. So, but I also think that Kevin Holland's going to get the fight that he wants here. And I think that Holland's a lot more durable. So it's a very interesting quandary here. Oh boy, who do I pick here? Who do I pick? Stephen Thompson at plus money? I think I kind of like it, but man, the durability of Holland. I'm going to go with Kevin Holland by decision here. It's going to be close, and it's going to be a super fun fight. Looking forward to seeing Holland in there talking shit again, having fun, coming out of retirement, blessing us with his presence once again. Great main event, great 15-fight card. Thank all 60 of you guys for hanging out with me on a Tuesday night here, midnight Central Time right now, a little bit after. And I appreciate you guys all for hanging out. Hit that thumbs up. Let me give you my track bets for UFC Orlando so far. So, track bets for UFC Orlando. Tuivasa Pavlovich, under 1.5 rounds. I got that at minus 125 earlier in the week for 1.25 units. I've also got that Levy Valdez violence, under 2.5 rounds, minus 115 for 1.15 units. Valdez has never seen the scorecards, so getting that archetype of fighter at an under 2.5 at a pick'em is great. You got to make that bet every time. I've got the Thompson Holland over 2.5 rounds at minus 130 on DraftKings for 1.3 units. If we go to the prop template here, and we look at analytics for 5-round fights in the welterweight division, we can see that fights go over 2.5 rounds 67% of the time. So like the line that you would expect to see there is about plus 200. Minus 200. We're only getting minus 130 here. And these guys are actually going over 2.5 rounds at a pretty good clip here. It's about 44% that they're going, over 2.5. They're going about 55% of the time. So it's a good line. And Holland's durability makes me feel safe that this fight does go over 2.5 rounds. And then I got the Dolidze Hermansson under 2.5 rounds at plus 140 for 1 unit. Dolidze coming in on short notice, making his second weight cut, which he cuts a lot of weight to make 185 in a month's time, 2 weight cuts. Short notice fight against a guy who looked like he was healthy for the first time in a while in Hermansson. So I'm looking forward to Hermansson maybe getting a sub, and then Dolidze's got 3 first-round knockouts at the UFC level. So I'm looking for a plus 140 there. I think was a way out of whack line. Happy to get that one. I'm also looking at a Tracy Cortez by decision bet, and I'm considering straight money line bets on the following underdogs. Eryk Anders at plus 190, Istela Nunes maybe around plus 270, plus 275, and even Michael Johnson around plus 260, plus 270. I think that's very intriguing. If he stops the takedowns of Diakiese, that fight is going to be very close. So those are 3 money lines that I like the underdogs on, but I haven't pulled the trigger on any of them yet. So that leaves us with just one order of business left, you guys. It is Uncle Weezy's ass shaving of the week. And this was a hard week for me to find one because there's a lot of blown out lines, and I don't usually give you guys blown out lines, but the ones that weren't blown out, I like Tuivasa Pavlovich. I think somebody's going to get their ass shaved there, but I think both of those guys are awfully live. I think that there's going to be, I think Schnell gets his ass shaved by Nicolau, but, Nicolau's not really much of a finisher. Hermansson, I think Hermansson gets a win here, but I'm not confident in Daukaus as a favorite. I do like Price, but I don't know if he's going to knock out Philip Rowe. He'll Ducote. I'm not touching that one. Guida Holtzman, I'm not touching that. What I'm going to just do this week is I'm going to take the easy way out this week because there's not a lot of ass shavings that I liked. I don't have any money line bets thus far, and the ones that I'm looking at are a little bit more on the plus money side. So let me just give you a guy that's just going to get the fucking job done this week. And that man is Jonathan Pearce, JSP. He's going to shave the ass of Darren Elkins. Jonathan Pearce doesn't get tired. He's going to be the much bigger guy. He's going to be the much more powerful guy. He's the more well-conditioned athlete. He's younger. He's longer. He's taller. And I think he's even the better striker. But the scrambles of this guy, the submission defense of this guy, the durability of this guy, I think he's just an 8 years younger version and more talented and more athletic version of what Elkins was when he came in. Darren Elkins is an ultra veteran. He's one of my favorite fighters in the UFC, and that he just is never in boring fights. He always fights for your money, but he's just out of his depth here. This guy Pearce is on another level. I sent out a tweet talking about Jonathan Pearce's second round stats. I have them in front of me here. Jonathan Pearce in second rounds in the UFC, and there have been 5 fights where he's made it to the second round. He's 64% on his significant strikes in the second round, and he's landed 152 of them. He's landed 333 total strikes in the second round. In the second round, he is 13 of 17 on his takedown attempts. That's 76.47%. And he controls his opponents 72.3% of the time that he's been in the second round. There's not a lot of human beings on the planet that can survive that kind of pace. And we've seen Darren Elkins snuffed out because of pace and because of a skill gap and this is what we have here. Jonathan Pearce, JSP, one of my favorite fighters on the entire roster, is going to get the job done here. And I think he definitely gets this job done inside the distance. And I'll be looking at a JSP round 2, round 3 props, wherever I can find them at the best price. But that is Uncle Weezy's ass shaving of the week. It might as well be a guy that when he shaves ass, he does it in spectacular fashion. And in Darren Elkins, we've got a guy who's bleeding as we speak right now, because I think the heat maybe I think it's from a hot shower. I think he's actually spurting blood right now from having that shower being a little bit hotter than 95 degrees. So the shaving of the week is going to be Jonathan Pearce shaving the ass of Darren Elkins. You guys, I appreciate all of you for hanging out here on a Tuesday night. I appreciate you guys that have donated. JSP, what method? It'll be KO. You just don't submit. There's one guy who's submitted Darren Elkins in his career. That man's name is Charles Oliveira. Nobody really else submits this guy. So if you're going to get him out of there, it's going to be via KO, and that is the way. Because, don't say that, because that half unit on the damage wasn't going to pay minus 400 for JSP. Yeah, man, I hear you, man. I know that the line is wide on JSP, but look, it's wide for a reason. And I don't like to do ass shavings where the line is that wide, but I didn't feel comfortable giving you anything else this week, so I want to keep this ball rolling. Up over 12 units over the last 2 events. I think we've hit 5 or 6 ass shavings in a row. We hit the greasy 4-leg parlay last week, which was a greasy 3-legger. So I want to keep that rolling. I want to finish strong with these last 3 weeks before we go into the winter break and take that month off. But 3 more events, starting with UFC Orlando this Saturday. Let's stack cash tickets like flapjacks for this event and the last 2 of the year. Finish off this year on a strong note. God bless each and every one of you guys for hanging out here on Tuesday night with me, your host, Uncle Weezy, for Just the Tip. And I will see you guys tomorrow on Pub Sports Radio, 6 o'clock Central Time for the DFS show. I will see you guys tomorrow night on the MMA Engine YouTube channel with my guy Lou Betya for props to consider and maybe bet. And then I will be right back here tomorrow night, 10 o'clock Central Time for Ask Weezy. I appreciate all you guys. XIINSAYNE, insane. I'm going to send you that I'm going to put that new Patreon link or the new Discord link on the Patreon. Thank you guys so much. Have a great night, and I will see you guys tomorrow.